For the first time in almost 1,000 years, one of the most fragile and influential artworks in European history may cross the Channel. The Bayeux Tapestry, a 70-meter embroidered account of conquest, power, and legitimacy, is expected to be loaned to the British Museum while its home museum in Normandy undergoes major renovation. The proposed Bayeux Tapestry loan to the British Museum has quickly become one of the most closely watched museum controversies in Europe. Supporters describe the move as a historic cultural moment. Critics describe it as an unnecessary gamble. Beneath the headline sits a more uncomfortable question: how much risk is acceptable when an object has survived nearly a millennium largely by remaining where it is? Under the current proposal, the tapestry would be displayed in London from late 2026 into 2027. If it happens, it will be the first time the embroidery has been exhibited in Britain since it was made in the 11th century. That alone explains the level of public interest. The Bayeux Tapestry occupies a central place in Britain's historical narrative, yet most people in Britain have never seen it in person. Its long survival, however, is closely tied to the fact that it has rarely been moved. Despite its name, the Bayeux Tapestry is not a tapestry at all. It is embroidery, wool thread stitched into linen, and that distinction matters. Textiles age in ways that are very different from stone, metal, or parchment. They respond acutely to light, humidity, handling, and vibration. Damage to fibers of this age cannot be reversed. For much of its history, the tapestry survived because it was kept stable and largely undisturbed. In modern times, conservation has relied on controlled environments and minimal physical movement. Transport introduces a different set of stresses. Even small vibrations, measured in millimeters per second, can place strain on ancient threads. Once that strain accumulates, there is no method to restore what is lost. The central fear raised by critics is straightforward, that the Bayeux Tapestry could be damaged during transport, even if every precaution is followed. For that reason, concern about the loan has come primarily from conservators, historians, and artists rather than political commentators. Among the most prominent critics is David Hockney, who has described the plan as reckless and questioned whether an object of this kind should be moved at all. In blunt terms, opponents are asking whether an artifact this old and fragile is simply too delicate to be moved safely. Those concerns are reflected in the scale of the financial protection surrounding the loan. The tapestry is expected to travel under a government-backed indemnity and insurance arrangement valued at around £800 million. That figure is not symbolic. It exists because any serious damage would be permanent. So why proceed? One reason is access. For many people in Britain, this would be the only realistic chance to see the tapestry directly rather than through reproductions or screens. Another is diplomacy. The loan forms part of a wider cultural exchange between the United Kingdom and France, with major early medieval objects expected to travel in the opposite direction. A third factor is timing. The museum in Bayeux is closing for renovation regardless. If the tapestry is to be removed from display, this period presents the least disruption. Taken together, these reasons explain why the proposal has advanced despite the risks involved. For the British Museum, hosting the Bayeux Tapestry would be a landmark exhibition. It would almost certainly draw exceptional visitor numbers and international attention. It would also place a heavy responsibility on the institution. Transport, display conditions, lighting levels, humidity control, and long-term fiber stability would all need to be managed with extreme care. Any failure would have consequences that extend far beyond reputation. Public discussion has often drifted toward questions of national ownership and cultural pride. In practice, the decision turns on something far more practical: how much physical risk institutions are willing to accept in order to widen public access to an object this fragile. Museums exist to share history. They also exist to protect it, including from well-intentioned pressure to make everything visible everywhere. The Bayeux Tapestry brings those responsibilities into direct conflict. If the loan is executed flawlessly, it may become a reference point for how exceptionally delicate heritage can be shared responsibly. If it is mishandled, it will be remembered as a moment when caution was set aside in favor of spectacle. Whether the Bayeux Tapestry should travel, and whether it will survive the journey without harm, remains the central question behind the controversy. That tension explains why the story has traveled so widely beyond specialist history circles. It is about how modern institutions decide which parts of the past can safely move, and which ones cannot. If the loan goes ahead, millions will finally encounter an object that has shaped Britain's understanding of its own origins. If it does not, the debate itself may still influence how museums approach risk for years to come. Either way, the Bayeux Tapestry has already performed the role it has held for nearly 1,000 years. It has provoked an argument that refuses to stay neatly stitched in place.